Hey, what up, stream? What's going on? Thanks for joining. We're going to talk about the Google update that just finished rolling out. I'm going to go into depth a little bit about that, but I talked about that more on the previous stream. So
Thanks
if
for
you missed
joining.
that, go check that out, because I'm really just going to talk about the updates of what we saw from their latest core update.
Finished rolling out.
And then I'm also going to talk
go into
about
depth
the
a little
state
bit about
of
that.
SEO
I talked about that more
for
on the
2025.
so
And it has some
thanks
really
for
interesting
joining. Go check that out.
statistics.
I'm really just going to talk about.
I'm going to
the
point out
updates
the
of what we
things
saw
that I
from
seen
their
in there that
update
caught
that
my
just
eye,
finished
give you the
rolling
breakdown
out.
and
I'm
analysis
also
of
going to
my
go into
overall
depth a little
state
bit about
of
that.
SEO.
I talked about that more on the
2025,
so
and it has some
thanks
really
for joining.
interesting
Go check that out. I'm really just going to talk about.
I'm going to
the
point out
updates
the
of what we
things
saw
that I
from
seen
their
in there
update
that caught
that
my
just
eye.
finished
So
rolling
first
out.
we're going to
I'm
start
also
with
going to go into depth a
the
little bit
state
about
of
that.
SEO.
I talked about that
August
more on the
2024
so it has some
just
things
finished.
to check that out. I'm really just going to talk about. I'm going to point out
This has been
seen in there that caught
pretty
my
crazy for the last couple of weeks, I would say. There's been so much fluctuation, especially with keywords, or your tracking keywords, up and down. I'm going to talk about that later when we get to the State of SEO report. I just wanted to cover what we saw. So here on this article, it surveys SEOs about the most recent update. 44% said rankings traffic are down. 27% said their rankings or traffic are up. And 29% said they've seen no change at all. So I'm just going to break this down for you. The 44%, which is the majority of the survey, seen their traffic drop because they're not using SEO best practices typically. Now, of course, there are a small percentage of SEOs or people working on sites on optimization, and they've seen drops. They're doing everything right, but they just got hit because sometimes the updates can randomly just hurt sites for seemingly no reason. Now, without doing a deep dive into everything they're doing, it's really hard to say just because SEO has so many moving parts. But I've seen many sites that just don't follow best practices and they work with SEO people. So I recently dropped a video covering the biggest mistakes I see SEOs make. Go check that out where I go more into detail about the reasons that people see traffic drops after algorithm updates. If you stick to the best practices and avoid all those mistakes I pointed out in that video, you're likely in the no change group or traffic is up group, which is exactly where you want to be. And they also talk about the ranking bug, which again, it just had the SERPs all over the place, especially if you were tracking keywords at all. So I'm not going to go any more into this because, like I said, I did a whole stream last week covering what the update was about and who it was targeting. So we're just going to leave that there. So now let's get into this State of SEO report that I seen. And I thought it had some really interesting insights into it. So I'm just going to cover the highlights. I'm not going to cover everything, but I would say that you should go check this out for yourself. Read the entire report so you know exactly what's going on here. So one of the first things that we're going to look at is in 2024, 22% of all SEO practitioners revealed that algorithm changes have become the primary concern. So we just talked about this. We were talking about the most recent update that just finished rolling out. And I just have to reiterate that following best practices usually keeps you from seeing these large traffic fluctuations after updates, or even you could see it increase. For the most part, every site that I work on sees either no change or increases after updates, just because I follow all the best practices and I'm really good with strategies. So another thing that they noted was that 30% pointing to core and algorithm updates as the main source of traffic instability over the past year. And being concerned about updates is understandable. That's just kind of always been part of SEO, but having a good strategy makes it less of a concern. So again, I'm not going to really go into this here because I also point this out in my 7 mistakes video. So again, just go ahead and make sure you check that out, because of a lot of the things that are noted here, I actually cover in that video. So one of the other things that stood out to me was budget limitations, cited by 19.4%, are the number one barrier to SEO success and the primary reason clients leave. So this is something that's a little more difficult, but just follow me here. You need at least some money for SEO. It's just a fact. And I know people get stuck in the past where you could start your own site and you didn't have to invest any money. You could get all this good, free, organic traffic from Google, and life is good. But you can't really just be stuck in the past like that. And I also remember starting my own sites almost a decade ago, and I was able to rank really good, get really good traffic, and I didn't invest any money into SEO for those early sites that I started. But times have changed now, so you can still start a site and get good organic traffic without investing any money, but that's not typical. That's more the exception, not the rule. And a lot of your competition is also putting money into SEO. So if you're trying to compete with someone that's putting money into SEO versus you just trying to do it for free or for essentially no money, very little, they're likely going to outperform you just because they have more resources than you do. So I would also say that there's, as far as the clients leaving, the primary reason that clients leave is the budget limitations. There's two issues here. There's issues on both sides here. So for one, you have some agencies who just pocket most of the money, so their clients don't really see any results. They're just keeping the money, trying to do everything they can to optimize the site without spending any money. And that's really not good, especially for the client. And then on the other side of that, you have clients who want to spend the least amount of money, but they want to rank number one for really difficult keywords, or they're in really competitive locations and they think they're just going to rank number one without spending hardly any money, just very little. So this is one of those things that really comes from not managing client expectations. There are clients who really just don't want to understand. They just think you do SEO, so you should be able to rank any site number one, no matter what, even if you have very little to no budget. And that's just not how it works these days. You just need some budget for SEO. And another reason why clients think this is because there's a lot of misinformation when it comes to SEO. There's no SEO degree you can go to college to get. or established education system. For the most part, SEOs are self-taught, whether on their own or in-house at a company that's not an agency. And I even had this same experience when I began in SEO, but just for a very short period of time, where the higher ups came to me and I was just working in digital marketing, and they said, do SEO on our site. And I really had no idea what to do or even where to start. So I read some articles and did a few things, but it's nowhere near what I learned when I actually worked at an agency and they trained me on how to do SEO. And I worked on hundreds of sites. So that's the next group of SEOs, I would say, who are trained at an agency. And one of the bad things is some agencies aren't even that good. So they're training these SEOs they're training SEOs, but they're not good at SEO themselves. So they're really just perpetuating the cycle of bad SEO. Then you have another group who are trained at an agency that is good at what they do. This is actually a good agency. They're good at SEO. So you have a really small percentage, and this is just what I've seen being in this industry for about 10 years now, is that there's a lot of SEOs who just work at these agencies, but they weren't trained very well. So it's a smaller percentage who work at good agencies and they just know exactly what to do. And then I would say the smallest percentage and the best SEOs are trained at a good agency, and they start their own sites to test strategies that they wouldn't use on client sites. And they can also analyze data to make decisions based on the data. These are the best, and there's not too many SEOs like that, because for one, there's not a lot of agencies that are just really good at SEO. If you just look at statistics, if you've been in this industry, you've seen clients who are burned by agencies, where either they're not optimizing the site very well, maybe they're going after the wrong keywords. There's just so many things that happen here, and again, it just kind of burns the client, and they're upset about things. So we'll come back to this when we get into the most in-demand skills for SEO, but I just wanted to break that down for you, that there's just no SEO education system. So all SEOs, all agencies are not created equally, unfortunately. And they give some tips here, but I'm just going to skip by these because this is just more of the fluff you get when it comes to SEO. I mean, it's not really actionable. So let's go to the SEO industry changes. So here we have AI is predicted to drive the most significant changes in the SEO industry according to 29% of those surveyed. So I was really surprised that only 29% of SEOs think this. They're likely thinking more about the set and forget AI that people daydream about, that you can just add AI to your site and it'll just optimize everything without you having to do anything, without you having to worry about it. And that's just not true. That's not going to happen. But if you think about it, AI has already caused the most significant changes in SEO because it's completely changed our workflow. If you're not using AI in your SEO workflow, you're going to fall behind someone who does, like me. I've been using it for about 1.5 years now, at least. And even when ChatGPT first released, and you could only use it for little things because it wasn't that good back then, I still was able to integrate it into my workflow. And now we have all these different softwares. So it's already changed a lot. And an SEO who can integrate AI is likely better than one who can't. And I have to say likely just because there's some people who maybe aren't good at SEO, so someone who is good at it but doesn't use AI would be better. But if you have two SEOs and they both have the exact same level of knowledge, that one that uses AI is gonna be better. That's just a fact. AI has also caused many of the Google updates we've seen for the past year, including Google removing 40% of sites from the SERPs completely. So that's also been a really significant change. And again, all these updates we've seen for the past year have been because of AI. So I'm just here to tell you that AI is here to stay. 9% of people think it's gonna drive significant change, and I would even equate that to about 70% of SEOs thinking that they don't need to use AI to continue to be successful in SEO, and they're just gonna get passed up. If that's you and you think that, you're gonna get passed up. So AI is here to stay. Make sure you know the best AI software to use for SEO moving forward from someone who's actually tested it out. So make sure you sub up to this channel, because that's one of the main things I do here is cover all the new AI coming out. I test it out and I let you know which ones are the best and which ones you can just skip. 16.6% believe Google updates will continue to be a major factor. So again, many people are concerned with updates, but updates have always been part of SEO. And when you're in the trenches and you're actually doing this, you can almost see what updates are coming next and prepare for them. For example, I seen the updates for AI coming a year ago, over a year ago. I knew that was going to happen. It's actually been almost 2 years now that I've been using AI. So when AI first dropped, I knew that there was going to be significant updates, especially when people started complaining about AI being on the first page and clearly AI generated content being on the first page. So again, this is just something that you just always have to be on the lookout for. But I mean, Google updates have always been a major factor. 36% of SEO, the respondents, believe generative AI and search platforms and AI generated content are major disruptors going forward into the future. AI generated content is already a major disruptor. So I don't know if they were saying from now into the future or just moving forward. But again, like I just said, for the past year, 2 years, AI content has been a major disruptor in SEO, and that's not going to change. The major thing you should be looking out for is undetectable AI, which I've covered here on this channel. And that's something that Google would never truly have a solution for, which is why they flat out said AI can rank as long as it's high quality. Because as the AI gets better, it gets better at passing detection systems. And I've covered here that Google has that golden flag that flags AI generated content to scrutinize it more. So if you use undetectable AI, you won't get flagged by Google as having AI generated content. That gives you a better chance of ranking that AI page. And they just mentioned AI generated content here, which I also feel like is somewhat narrow-minded, because I've shown you many AI SEO tools that can do other things like tech audits, backlinks, competitive research. There's all these different AI SEO software that are dropping, and they're just going to continue to be able to do more. So look for AI to do much more in SEO than simply content creation. I mean, there's just so many things you could use AI for in SEO, and content creation is more so on the minor side of things that AI can do. I just covered a tool for internal links. I mean, there's just so many coming out, and as they drop more, I would say look for other parts of SEO to be overtaken by AI. Don't just look at content. Look for other parts of AI, other facets to end up being automated. And again, some of those things can be automated even easier. For example, tech audits is much easier to automate with AI than something like content creation. You don't even necessarily have to review AI generated tech audits because it's just pulling the report for you and all the issues. So again, that's something that if you're here and you're one of these people that think it's just going to be the content and AI and the search platforms, expand your mind, because there's going to be a lot more changes when it comes to that. That's something that if you're here, 20% of respondents indicated that keyword rankings and organic page views are the top tracked SEO metrics. So let me break this down for you. First of all, why are you tracking keyword rankings? And I'll give a disclaimer. I know that some clients like to see those keyword reports. There's clients that come to you with their own keywords that they want to rank for. And the unfortunate thing is that clients don't know how to do keyword research. They don't know SEO well enough to know what they should be ranking for or not. Maybe there's a keyword that has a high search volume and then the client wants to target that, but no one converts on it. And then you have another keyword that has low search volume, but many people convert on it. So would you rather have the highly searched keyword that no one converts on, or the lower search keyword that, say, 50% of people convert on? Of course, you should want the conversions. And unfortunately, clients don't always see it that way, but that's just the truth of business in general. So I'm just going to break down this really quick for you. If you're tracking keywords and you don't see good performance from that exact keyword, a close variation of that keyword could still be ranking good. And I've seen this plenty of times where we track a keyword, say we're tracking personal injury lawyer, Denver, Colorado. And all of a sudden the rankings, the keyword tracking falls for that. It looks like it's going down. But the keyword personal injury lawyer, Denver, is up still. And I know that's kind of an extreme example, but it does happen. If you're not tracking that exact keyword, then it's going to look like things went down when maybe they didn't. And there's many times where search intent for keywords change. So one of your keywords could have fallen off because the intent changed, but you gained a new keyword because the intent for that other keyword changed and ranked you higher for that. So the better thing to do is to track keyword footprint. Track how many total keywords you have and if those are going up or down. Sometimes you may lose one keyword but gain 5. So your keyword reports just tracking that one keyword aren't going to tell you that. But if you're tracking the keyword footprint, you'll be able to see these changes. And this is also the reason why many SEOs have a hard time explaining or figuring out why keyword rankings have dropped, but traffic remains stable or even increased. And this is why. It's because the keyword that you're tracking might have dropped, but your overall keyword footprint improved. So just tracking keywords is pretty outdated. There's just, that kind of fell off when you could rank for many similar keywords. So again, just track your footprint. You can track the rankings if you want for, say, like clients, but in your internal data use, you should be looking at the footprint always. Another issue I see here is page views. Page views is also not a good metric. It just shows how many pages someone viewed while they were on your site. So if someone comes to your site and they view 3 pages, and then they come back later and they view 1, you got 4 page views. But say that person doesn't come back next month, then it looks like you had a decline. So what I would recommend, and I also would say, don't track sessions. I see a lot of people tracking sessions, and this is somewhat the same idea. Someone could visit your site, and then they could visit your site again later after the cookie expires, and now you have 2 sessions, but this person just came back to your site, and it's not, maybe they didn't look up the URL, they just Googled it, because a lot of people do that. It's just a good segment of the population who they just use Google essentially to get to any site they want, even if they know the URL. Like me, I often just type the .com if I know it, but there's people who don't do that. They just use Google to navigate the web. So again, don't track page views, don't track sessions. It's fine to have that information. I really don't even keep page views at all. I do keep the sessions usually, but I don't put much into it. What you want to track is users. Users is the best metric because you can see how many actual people are coming to your site. So if that one person has visited your site 12 times and they've looked at hundreds of pages, that's still 1. And that gives you the best metric as far as your data analysis to see the health of your SEO and your organic traffic. And that really leads us into these next points here where they talk about the skills in demand for SEO. So the most challenging skills to find in SEO professionals are technical SEO and data analysis. So let's start with technical SEO. Technical SEO is hard to find in the industry. Again, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've seen so many people who know nothing about technical SEO but claim to be experts. And a lot of SEOs just dismiss this skill because they think it doesn't matter that much for some reason, and they think they're experts because they can manipulate the content. They think, because I can add the keyword in or, do a title tag, that they're experts. But technical SEO is really one of the most important parts of SEO. I mean, it's how good Google can crawl and index your site. If it can't crawl and index your site, you can't rank well. It's a barrier at that point. And it's just difficult to learn because there's so many moving parts to a website, to SEO. So make sure you don't dismiss this skill. This is really important. And just learning technical SEO alone will put you in the top 20% of SEOs. You see it. It'll actually put you in the top 19% just from knowing technical SEO, because a lot of your peers don't. And again, this is another thing that I dive much deeper into in my 7 SEO mistakes video. So I advise you to go watch that. It was a great video, and I'm really proud of that one. So make sure you check that out. Now let's talk about data analysis. So data analysis is also very important. I was just talking about tracking the wrong metrics. So the beginning of good data analysis is looking at the right data, and there's a lot of people who really don't know what data to look at because it can be overwhelming. I understand that. There's so many metrics in Search Console and analytics. You have all these other third-party programs that claim to track keywords or backlinks. I mean, there's just so much data you can look at. So, and this could honestly just be a video in its own about data analysis because it's such a deep topic. I mean, of course, it extends way past SEO into traditional marketing, really just into business. You have to be able to analyze data to be effective. So again, make sure that you're tracking the right metrics for SEO. And I might do a video on this. I just was thinking because it's such a deep topic. I could go on and on about what you should be tracking. So make sure you sub up, lock in, and I will likely cover this because honestly, all of these things that are here are things that I want to cover on my channel. So yeah, just make sure you lock in for that. Now let's look at the most desired skills. Honestly, all of these things that are here are things that 18% said the most desired skills are soft skills and the ability to build and execute SEO strategies. So let's start with soft skills. So if you don't know what soft skills are, it's basically things related to dealing with clients, dealing with teams, planning things out. It's a lot of the things that you have to do in SEO, but they're not necessarily SEO related. Probably the biggest soft skill is dealing with clients, just because there's such a wide variety of types of clients. You have difficult clients who are not understanding, who don't know SEO. They just want you to get it done. You have clients who think they know SEO, but they really don't. So they're working off of bad information and something that they just read. You have some clients who do know a little bit about SEO and they are understanding of the strategy and what it's going to take. And I would say that's the smaller percentage of clients, because most of them just don't know anything about SEO. And I would say the ones that don't know anything about SEO but admit it are way better than the clients who think they know SEO but know nothing about it. So again, this is something that could be its own video. I've actually even taken a class for this, so that's just something that I would say is a little more difficult to develop, and usually it just comes from experience working with clients and just seeing how many different types of clients there are, how they react to certain things. That's really how you learn soft skills. I mean, I learned some tactics from the class I took, but really just being in the trenches and dealing with these clients, especially the difficult ones, I would say, are the ones that just improve your soft skills that much more. Now let's talk about the ability to build and execute SEO strategies. And this is another thing that I spoke about in my video, 7 mistakes SEOs make. And putting together and executing a strategy is something that I've seen very few SEOs do. For the most part, I would take it even a step further and say that many SEOs don't know how to do this. And again, I explained to you how a lot of people get into SEO. They read some articles, they maybe learn from an agency or in-house that doesn't know what they're doing. So they don't know how to build and put together a good, sound strategy based on data. Again, this is something else I covered in my video. I've mentioned it a few times, so make sure you check that out. And I will also say that I'm on point because I made that video just talking about a lot of the mistakes I see SEOs making, and then somehow most of what you see here in this State of SEO survey was covered in that video, because I'm right on point about what I see, because I'm in the industry. I see it happen in real time, and I've seen things over the past decade, the direction things have went. So again, make sure you check that out, because it's really good. I mean, I think it's really valuable. It'll help you out, especially if you're seeing a lot of fluctuations from these updates, or you're scared of these updates. This is really a very important thing to be able to do, and I also show you how to do it at the end of that video. So let's go here at the end. I have two more things I wanted to cover. 69% of SEO professionals found SERP competition increased over the past 12 months. So this is because Google removed 40% of sites from the SERPs. This was around May. So of course this increased the competition, because the sites that were able to stay in the rankings essentially passed the test. They passed Google's standards, and they were able to stay in the SERPs. So you're not really competing against so many trash websites anymore. All that trash has been removed for the most part. So that would make things a little bit more difficult, because essentially you're competing with the best of the best. If they only kept 60% of the sites in the SERPs, then those 60% were pretty good, if not top notch. And then this is another point I wanted to cover. 13% of respondents felt zero-click searches will cause significant shifts. And really, I would say this number is a little high, even, because zero-click searches have been a thing since featured snippets rolled out. And I also covered this in a previous stream, why this isn't something that's really to be concerned with. A lot of people were thinking that the AI overviews were going to increase the zero-click searches, and it did for a little while, but then it pretty much fell off again. So again, I covered that in a previous stream, and why that's not really a concern. So make sure you check out that previous stream as well, where I go more into detail about zero-click searches and why you shouldn't be worried about them. But I thought this was a really good survey here. I think it has some really good information. I would also recommend you go download the actual report. I wanted to pull this up, but I don't want to have any issues here, because you do have to enter in your email to get the full report. But I think it's a good read. If you're in SEO, it's good to know a lot of these things. And this is my last time I'm going to recommend you watch my 7 mistakes SEOs make, because I cover pretty much all of this. I think the one thing I didn't cover in that is the soft skills. So make sure you check that out, because I was right on point with the State of SEO and a lot of the mistakes people make when it comes to that. So make sure you sub up. Make sure you stay locked in. I do have another stream I'm planning on doing next week, so make sure you check out the community tab, because I'm going to make a post about that before I do it. I'm not sure exactly which day yet. I'm thinking Monday probably, and it's going to be somewhat of a surprise, but I hope you enjoy it. I think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to be really interesting. So again, make sure you lock in. I'll be here next Thursday or next Friday as well to give you the news. I haven't really decided what I'm going to cover yet, but again, just make sure you lock in so you know exactly what's happening in the industry. And you get the breakdown from a true SEO expert. So, thanks for joining. And iStream, I'm out.